gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the DMT 5000 here at Oschersleben.
DTM 92 series, round 3 at Oschersleben B.
Yes, Liebenstrom B. Yeah, welcome to it. We're racing nothing but Porsches, the new square version.
From 1992/91.
And if that makes you Dixonhurst, then you're in good company. With me, as per the usual, we have the Mio, the Mike, the Megas. Wait, I just said all those things that you are.
These are all things that I categorically cannot deny.
From a legal standpoint, but if you send them to the UN...
In this era of fake news, I'm sure I can find a way to deny it.
He has entirely been misquoted. And as our third man, kicking the windshields out and possibly fixing that wiper that seems to be stuck, that's a little interesting.
That is an annoying thing about some of the cars, with the damn wiper that just doesn't move. It's in the middle of the fucking windshield.
Indeed. He is the Capri Sun to your Lunchable, Justin Kratz.
Hello, hello. In fact, I don't even know why they bother rendering in the windshield wipers when we clearly don't have rain conditions in the game.
Do not know.
I mean, getting ahead of yourselves, I guess. It's a minor thing, but like I have no idea why any of them are rendered like in the middle of the screen. That doesn't make any sense.
There you go. There's all your models in the mix.
Mike Stockmill, Paul Riccobeni, Leandro Carroll, Martin Edmonds, Guillermo Taylor. Hey, Guillermo Taylor up in 5th place. Very nice. Richard Higgs, Max Siemens, Wayne Medeiros, Mauricio Delgado, Ronaldo Tavares, Scott Greenfield, Dixon Hurst, Douglas DeGroot, and Tobias Howard, your field. Possibly additional cars that didn't post at lap time. I don't know.
Shout out to the Simonizer for being my newest subscriber on YouTube, even though I don't really make videos anymore.
I mean, there's some stuff back there.
There's a wealth of entertainment, let me tell you right now. I just don't make new stuff. Also, I do like the fact that it says Durka on the top of that guy's head, but buffalo boots on the rest of it. That's a weird dichotomy. They ain't got buffaloes in Durka land.
Probably not.
You got camels.
This is the kind of quality entertainment we've come to expect here from ESR.
Pretty much.
This is pretty much the quality entertainment that's demanded from ESR.
Yeah, they didn't want this. Man, have they screwed up for a while now.
Oh yeah, they're in too deep now. They have to at least pretend like they meant to do it.
It's gonna be a lot of videos deleted if you really want to scrub the history.
No opals on the field today, I don't think.
No opals, huh?
No Aaron rolls either.
The opals are not in general particularly popular because they're not a very strong car, in fairness. Red lights are on, red lights, there we are. Oh God, Martin, the gas pedal. It's the one on the right.
I think he might have stalled there.
Anyways, Paul Riccobeni gets the jump onto the start, which is not unusual because that Mustang that Mike Stockmill is driving. Oh God!
Yay!
Max Simons puts down the plow and eliminates Mike Stockmill from the equation. I suspect there's a penalty coming up on that.
Actually, I believe it's pronounced Max Sonax.
Sonax, excellent. We're just creating more.
Or could be Snorlax. I don't know. I hear the kids are into the Pokemans.
I mean, in fairness, Snorlax is just my dad, so
fair enough.
Oh God!
Hey!
Wayne Medeiros getting spun around. Looks like there was some stuff going on further up as well. Martin Edmonds has dropped all the way back to 9th place. God damn it, Martin.
He is the worst.
Richard Higgs and Ronaldo Tavares in the teammate matching cars, actually. So, not actually.
Boy, Stoffmill's gone from 1st to 5th. What the F?
Well, yeah, he got punted by Simons.
Well, I don't agree with that particular interpretation of things. I think Stoffmill just pulled a brakey.
I mean, it's not infeasible. So, to cap off after lap 1, we got Riccobeni leading from Leandro Carroll, Max Simons, Guillermo Taylor, and Mike Stockmill. Speaking with Stockmill, he's a little bit looking to get around Mr. Guillermo Taylor, who is a silver driver versus a plat. So this should be the most competitive battle we've ever seen, but we'll find out.
Oh, Martin get a little frisky.
Martin Edmonds had already gotten past Richard Higgs and is now looking to get past Ronaldo Tavares as well, and we'll make that happen in the Tic Tac BMW. Oh, Tavares comes back at him. The Brazilians are feisty on the counterattack, and Tavares has got the job done for the time being.
Ronaldo is out for the blood.
Speaking of which, the UFC has actually recently signed a guy named Ronaldo Tavares. So, congratulations.
Coincidence?
Probably not even for the first time, if we're being
I
honest.
think it's like the third time.
Probably. It's not. It's like signing someone named Jimmy Smith. It's just a thing. Mike Stockmill going down the inside of Guillermo Taylor, and Taylor's not going to really have a response for that because that Mustang is a beast.
Yes, it is.
And Richard Higgs trying to get through on Tavares, but maybe Tavares going wide there at turn 2 opened it up and has allowed Higgs through. So he has got the position. And rounding off the top 10, by the way, Scott Greenfield, who I think is making his debut in the DTM series. I don't think he has run in the past. I will fact check that while you guys fill time.
I really got to hand it to these guys. These cars, not the hardest thing to drive, but certainly by no means the easiest. And this track is quite infamous for, let's say, its technicalities.
That is so much better commentary and less vulgar than what I was about to say.
It's lack of sanity when implementing a track design. It's high quantity of drugs.
Who designed this track? Me?
I don't even know. The German equivalent of you, though, apparently.
Some toddler with a crayon and a menu from a restaurant, probably.
And you should see some of the Trackmania shit I pulled up.
I mean, I'm embellishing to a degree, but to be honest, Oschersleben is one of the tracks where every time I drive it, I'm just like, I can't get a flow here. I don't understand this track. I don't get what's going on here.
Well, on the bright side, at least, coming up on Thursday in R Factor 2, we're going to be running basically just as hard a car to drive at this same track.
Ah, that'll be entertaining.
Indeed, Flat 6 Series running Oschersleben, fitting car, manufacturer.
Justin, are you joining the, putting you on blast here, are you joining the Academy this season, Justin?
You already know I am.
Ah, excellent. We got that.
But
we got that on deck at Brands Hatch and the BMW 235i's on Saturday.
Looking forward to it.
Actually, tomorrow I'm going to do a little Academy video where I kind of talk about things that we're supposed to be learning and stuff. None of it. Whoa, Mr. Max Simons. The track does not go that far that way.
I think he just tried to attack Stockmill again.
This is not Formula Drift, by the way. Nor is it Redfest.
Can we do Formula Drift?
I feel like Max Simons is no longer on Mike Stockmill's Christmas card list. That is for sure.
That seems likely. Seems like he just kind of like deliberately tried to do the self T-bone.
He's trying to frame me, Your Honor. I did not touch him. He just spun in front of me.
I did not hit him.
I did not.
So it's the two of them and Guillermo Taylor battling. I think Taylor will probably fall off the back of this. Although Taylor, he qualified in P5, so he's got something that we've not seen historically. So it's interesting to see some of the drivers have like really standout performances in these older, less sophisticated cars. It's interesting to see some of the drivers really come to play, like Guillermo Taylor being the best example right now, a guy that's usually kind of midfield, but up there in 5th place.
And speaking of cars that are a little less sophisticated and more difficult to handle, are there any plans, perhaps, for a Group C series coming up in the future?
I have not heard of any plans, but of course, if you approach the admin crew with the idea, I mean, we generally definitely acquiesce quite easily.
You still haven't done my monster trucks on Macau, you sons of bitches.
It's because you wouldn't race in it. We don't have monster trucks.
I would definitely do that if that was a thing.
If you know how to mod vehicles in the games, then there you go.
In point of fact, I do not. It's not my job.
You also can't mod Raceroom, so that's the other problem.
Well, maybe
nobody specified it had to be Raceroom, though.
True. Should look into R Factor and see if there's any monster trucks, but I
Dear
don't
Raceroom.
think I've ever seen any.
Dear Raceroom people, please let
of course it might.
No, Assetto Corsa No way.
Are you kidding me?
R Factor is the best bet.
I said, of course, it has like a freaking city bus as a mod. I don't want to hear it.
I want to hear all about the double deckers on Macau.
Sadly, it's not a British double-decker bus. It's like those tour halfway across the country kind of buses.
Yeah, the coaches.
There we go.
So Max Simons is being dropped like a
Bad
bad habit by Mike Stoppmill right now. And that's probably a good thing after 2 contacts with Simons. Stoppmill's like, get me away from this fucker.
This kid is assholes.
Unleash the hounds. Scott Greenfield has dropped back nope, no, it's someone has a connection error. Arnaldo Tavares is dropping back a long way, so probable problems there for the Brazilian. In fact, there he is, rejoining anyways, ahead of Douglas de Groot, who has somewhat foolishly chosen the Audi as his car. And you can see the damage to the front end of Tavares, so he headbutted something, and I'm not going to say he lost, but probably have to see the other guy to ascertain that answer.
I mean, in that kind of a circumstance, nobody really wins.
I mean, that's just a matter of perspective. Martin Edmonds has climbed back up into 6th place, and next on his list is Guillermo Taylor. I suspect he'll probably be able to get Taylor, but I don't think any further. I think he was outqualified by Riccobeni, Carroll, Stoppmill, and Simmons, so the chances he can make up the type of ground we're talking about here in 7 laps is kind of unlikely.
That all depends on everyone's consistency, though. Yeah, crazier things have happened.
Well, absolutely. The door is not closed, but if I were a betting man, I'd say he'll get Taylor and not any further. But we'll see. Behind him is Mauricio Delgado, who's more or less running on his own, although Richard Higgs is catching up with him a little bit. Higgs, very fast driver, depending on which Higgs is in the car. Not gonna lie, sometimes Richard Higgs seems to drive above himself, and I kind of wonder if it's actually little Higgs behind the wheel of the car.
I think it's just cocaine.
I mean...
Also feasible.
We do know that you can do cocaine and fight in the UFC, so that's not much of a...
Hell yeah.
Quote Phil Davis, what do you think about John Jones being tested positive for cocaine and being given no suspension? Like silence for like, I don't know, 20 seconds? So you're saying I can do cocaine?
Give me 3 rails and let me at them.
So you're going to need more than that to get you through an hour, let me tell you.
So Higgs is catching up to Delgado. Wayne Medeiros is more or less just in an island of his own, so it looks like 9th place for him. I believe this is top 8 reversed. So with that in mind, I'm actually... there's appears to be a move going on here. That is... that's just Toby Howard being lapped. It's like, White Mustang. Is that Mike Stoffmill having a problem? No, that's Toby in the exact same livery. But I was going to say... if I'm Richard Higgs, I'm not actually sure if I want to go for that overtake on Mauricio, because right now he's on reverse grid pole, which is a kind of nice place to be, as Martin Edmonds gets the job done on Guillermo Taylor.
Good job,
So that's tandem racing here.
Tandem, just look at him.
In the Tic Tac BMW, which is actually my favorite livery in this series. Because it's green.
And thus
it's actually
Edmonds gets past Taylor.
It's green and...
It's white with green stripes.
Those are
Prove
dots.
me wrong.
I feel like you might be on some drugs again.
It's white with thick green stripes. Prove me wrong.
Are you getting back surgery again by
Not
any chance here?
Not lately.
So yeah, we've got Higgs. Higgs seems to have backed off of Delgado a little bit. That could be intentional, or that could be a failed overtake attempt, dropping it back, obviously.
Put him in the wall.
There is that battle. These are the 2 men who, right now, would be starting on row 1 for race number 2. Higgs on pole, Delgado in 2nd. Shout out to Mauricio Delgado, by the way. Just got done a race with him actually at at Hockenheim, and he did quite well. So congratulations.
Ah, yes, good old Hockenheim. Well, not the old Hockenheim that we used to know, but the new one.
I actually, ironically, prefer the newer one. Like, don't get me wrong, the older one had, like, more of a challenge as a driver, you know, the 80% throttle and so on, and definitely a lot more danger. But from a viewer's standpoint, I actually kind of prefer the newer Hockenheim. It's a little bit more
Condensed?
more technical. More condensed is another word, yeah.
Well, you two
I don't
were being total jerks. Nerds. Your boy DeGroot and your boy Medeiros have been horrible, horrible abusers.
Of what?
The limits.
The limits. Hey, if the game is not going to call you in for a drive-through, we don't really do anything about it. Although I do believe that there is a warning in effect in turn 1 on this track about abuse of track limits being possibly reviewed.
Abuse of track limits.
As Richard Higgs gets the job done.
Very nice pass.
Nice move.
I would applaud.
Honestly, not really even much of a move. Like, I've kind of taken away from it, but it was more about like that Mustang just probably not really having the grip in the corners. But at the same time, it's good to know where the car ahead of you is weak. You can apply the pressure at that spot, and you will usually force a mistake. So that's in itself a very nice tactic. Whoa, Mauricio.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say Medeiros' tires are probably running a bit hot.
Probably. These cars are not the kindest to their tires, and the Mustang, of course, under any class, is amongst the worst at taking care of its tires. Leandro Carroll here. Not really sure why we're checking in with him. He is putting a lap on one of the BMWs.
I'm going to go with the game is racist and it has to look at South Americans in particular.
I was going to say, we just flipped over to him. I was going to suggest that it was probably Dixon Hurst, and I think we can indeed confirm that.
I'm just waiting for at some point he's going to come up to me in the DMs and go, listen, I understand, but stop making jokes about my name.
Douglas DeGroot in the pit lane. Doesn't look like there's any damage on the car. Perhaps the only thing I can guess is a fuel miscalculation, or did we miss? Was there a drive-through penalty that we weren't? That I wasn't privy to?
Yeah, I told you.
Okay,
had a drive-through penalty.
Okay, well, there we go. That's
He
what
is
that
the abuser. Wait, Medeiros, ignore the drive-through penalty. O.M. Jesus.
It's not
That's the
great.
chat, everybody.
I had my OBS over top of the steward's decisions. That's why I was uninformed. I apologize.
You are uninformable.
But I am aware of the proceedings now. Wayne Medeiros indeed on the disqualification, and Douglas DeGroot.
Groot listed Doug.
So that has changed up the top 10 a fair bit, with Medeiros was running in 9th, if memory serves, and he was kind of tracking down Mauricio Delgado, but I think Delgado now with a 23-second cushion back to Scott Greenfield can just kind of maintain the tires and bring it home in 8th place and take pole for race 2, which can be pretty important. Although not so much for the Mustang, because admittedly, we talked about the Mustang, not great off the line, so that'll be interesting.
I thought it had all kinds of straight line speed.
It does, but getting off the line is not about straight line speed. It's about being able to maintain traction at low RPMs, which some cars are not ideal at doing. For example, in the GT3 series on Wednesdays, I'm having an absolute bitch of a time launching the Nissan. Historically, I've been a pretty good starter. In the Audi, I did quite well. For example, the Audi doesn't have nearly the straight line speed the Nissan does. But the Nissan has been a riddle wrapped in a conundrum for me as far as getting the start to go correctly, as Paul Riccobeni is your winner here in race 1 from Leandro Carroll. Mike Stoppnell, I think we can probably safely say will finish up in 3rd place. Martin Edmonds taking... No, that apparently was just him lapping Toby Howard. So,
How dare he?
Toby Howard, Douglas DeGroot, pardon me.
Douglas to Toby.
Edmonds, no, that is Max Simons, I think. Has he run out of... I think Max Simons ran out of gas.
It does indeed look like he might have run out of fuel.
P4 goes to Martin Edmonds, and that means pole for race number 2, and unfortunately, a slight spoiler, I don't think Scott Greenfield actually starts the race because I think he had to go to work despite taking her first grid pole.
Have some chat for Greenfield. Seriously.
There he is coming across the line. A little bit damaged there, missing a good chunk of the front end. But hey, 8th place is 8th place, everybody.
Who needs aero anyway?
In these cars, actually not a ton, to be honest. That is the one nice thing about the unsophisticated cars is that when they take damage, their performance capabilities aren't nearly as affected as some other cars are.
Formula.
I mean, Formula would be the great example. Open wheelers, you do like a dent in the front end. It's like, and this car has become undrivable.
A rock hit my front spoiler, and now it's over.
Mike Stoppmill with the fastest lap, but only slightly over a tenth over Paul Riccobeni. So we got some competitiveness here. Carroll, 3 different brands on the podium, which is nice to see. Would have actually been 4 different brands in the top 4 had Max Simmons not run out of gas, actually. So here we are for race number 2. Scott Greenfield starting on pole. Depending on how... whether he had to go to work or not. I know that Scott is historically a guy who has a really hard time attending second and third races on a weeknight. Nope, there he is. No, that's Mauricio Delgado. What am I talking about?
I think you're on drugs.
It's not impossible.
Somebody might have put something in my orange juice.
Like somebody put something in my drink.
It is Mauricio Delgado starting on the pole, so we have lost Scott Greenfield. So a tragic moment for Mr. Greenfield. Unable to start on pole for the first time in his ESR career. There was a blank grid spot there where he should be, and it will be theoretically Delgado leading down to the front. But there is that lack of starting ability that I talked about. Richard Higgs already passed Mauricio, though. Mauricio really laid on the brakes. Very brave and
Stoppmill got jammed up.
Slightly ridiculous.
At least turn 1 wasn't a complete shit.
I mean, Stoppmill's up to second place. I don't think he got stuck up. I think he may have saw another one.
Maybe. I saw a name tag and may have interpreted it that badly because they all look like Porsches to me.
Stoppmill up. Edmonds with a fantastic start, actually, as well. Up into first place.
He's gone from dead last to dead first.
And Leandro Carroll. It's like, I think what happened is with Delgado's very aggressive move, which retained the lead briefly, but has ended with him in 12th place. I think everyone kind of around him got screwed up because Richard Higgs has dropped back considerably, and now the fastest guys are at the front already here in race 2. Because the guys who finished on, in fact, the top 4 from race 1 are now the top 4 here in race 2.
I would just like to point out that Martin Edmonds' yo butthole is in danger.
Mike Stoppmill's gonna get that booty.
Well, maybe. Or he might just slingshot Paul Riccobeni and make him do the dirty work.
Oh, bit of a track cut there from Max Simons, who after running out of gas in race 1 needs to probably watch that a little bit. One would hate to see him get a drive-through.
Well, he has, in the last 2 weeks, he's been pretty notorious about not being able to put legal laps down, and maybe that's possibly why.
Indeed. In the meantime, at the front, Mike Stoppmill has got into the lead ahead of Paul Riccobeni. They have shuffled Martin Edmonds back to 3rd for the moment, but I think it may become 4th shortly here because Leandro Carroll should be able to find a way around him. But it looks like actually Martin has held on for the time being. So it is now the Ford Mustang leading from the Mercedes and the 2 BMWs of Edmonds and Carroll with Max Simons, who we shamed for cutting the track in 5th place.
What a dick. I vote we have him deported to Australia.
There it is again! Max, you gotta be careful, man. That's gonna be a drive-through if you keep doing that. He is cutting 4 wheels off at that first turn, and Douglas DeGroot, drive-through penalty for abuse of track limits. I suspect we might see that for the other Audi of Max Simons at some point in the near future.
I would agree. Hey, Mike Stoffmill's in first. Fancy that.
It's amazing.
What a concept.
Revolutionary concept. Groundbreaking, actually. Paul Riccobeni in second. Wayne Medeiros has just become top Brazilian, overtaking Ronaldo Tavares.
You got the top of Mansion?
I actually was racing the other day, and a guy whose
What?
name was V.Magalhaesh came into the server. And I'm like, oh god, it was not Vinny. It was not Vinny.
That fat Puerto Rican.
Douglas DeGroot getting sliding back in the order, and also has that drive-through penalty to serve. Losing spots there to Guillermo Taylor and to Mauricio Delgado. Paul Riccobeni is dropping back. Martin Edmonds is still hanging on to that third place, so dogged determination to be top BMW in this race. From Martin Edmonds, he's got Leandro Carroll. There is Leandro. And there is Max Simons. Keeping an eye on Simons through turn 1 to see if he cuts it again, because I can't imagine he wouldn't get a drive-through at that point.
He's just found the one corner that they don't enforce.
The one exploit, yeah.
I mean, I know that we talked about that being an exploit, but we were thinking that I had assumed that was really just if you could get away with it like once or twice. But if you do it enough times, like it should definitely give you a drive-through. Anyways, this is the corner in question I'm talking about here. You see how there's that little round thing there. Dixon Hurst, abuse of track limits, drive-through penalty. It's Richard Higgs, who is the guy I kind of feel a little bit bad for. He took the lead of the race off the start against Mauricio Delgado, and then Mauricio absolutely speared across him, and I think that cost him a lot of time. And he's gotten past Tavares then for 7th position.
I disagree, just because I'm a contrarian.
I mean, it's a fair stance.
Excellent.
But you would prove that you were not a contrarian, because you would have disagreed then. Ha!
Wow, I just disagreed with my own ability to disagree, therefore super contrarian.
Contrarianception.
Super contrarian or oxymoron?
Leandro Carroll looked like he got past Martin, but Martin went back up the inside. Nice defense from the Canadian driver. Though, and I feel like I have to mention this, them squabbling over third place, as important as that is absolutely costing them tons of time, because you can see that Audi is getting very close. Oh God, Martin!
Well,
no restrictive track limit at all from the admin.
Way to lead by example, bud.
In credit to Max Simons, though, he was legal that time through turn 1. But Martin definitely put lie to the idea that a drive-through would be a penalty there. Anyways, Martin is hanging on through. I'm now questioning the legality of the means, but he is still in third.
All is fair in war and racing. That's how that goes, right?
Not all is fair in racing. It's just what is illegal. But if it's not illegal and you don't get a penalty, it's totally fair.
I agree.
We'll see if Leandro tries to get a run on him into the first corner here, and we'll see who takes the legal line and who gets creative. Put it that way.
What's creativity?
Simons was the creative man through the turn that time.
Monsieur Simlington.
He's a free spirit. He doesn't wish to be defined by track limits. Carroll seems to have a lot better entry speed into these corners, just in an observation. But it seems like once they hit the apex, that Martin's car settles a lot better, and therefore gets better drive out of the corners, which is making it very hard to actually overtake him. I don't know if that's a difference in setup. Could just be a difference in driving technique as well. But something appears to be accommodating that because they are in the same car. So one would think that their behavior through each corner should be relatively similar. Here we go, heading towards the first corner again. And gentlemen, who's going to cut the turn?
Yes.
Stoffmill.
Martin's through clean. Leandro's through clean. Don't know about Max. Oh, well, a little bit off there in the second turn here. Drive-through penalty, abuse of track limits, Mauricio Delgado.
Son of a bitch. Somehow I'm like a couple seconds behind you guys now. I don't know how that happened.
How did that happen?
I'm gonna go with racism. Wait, are you watching this through Windows Movie Maker again?
No, I am not.
I don't believe you, but go on.
Watching on YouTube. I don't have the video to watch through Windows Movie Maker.
I think you've somehow done this to me. You've reached through and strangled my... Oh, wait, no. Tellus did that to me.
That's Tellus. That's Tellus.
They're coming tomorrow to fix it.
Oh, God, Leandro! Leandro Carroll is exploring the grass side of things. It has lost a spot to Max Simons for passing Martin Edmonds. He's back down to 5th place as they are lapping the car of Tobias Howard, who is, despite being the slowest car on the track, actually in 11th place because people keep getting drive-through.
Hey, man.
Ah, come on, Max! Max!
Victory by
the white lines are a thing. Max Simons, once again, interpreting the track through interpretive dance.
I haven't seen this much cutting since WEC at Spa.
Ugh. This is definitely some of the worst cutting I've ever seen. Like, and I understand why it's happening. That turn very much lends itself to being cut.
Oh, this track looks awful.
But it is a little ridiculous. It's like people are, to be honest, not particularly avoiding it. So we got Paul Riccobeni putting pressure on Mike Stoffmill. I'm pretty confident. No, oh, somebody's off. That's Max Simons off.
Simons, indeed. Yep.
So a contact with Leandro Carroll, or possibly a lost control from the Audi. We kind of came into that too late to really portion blame.
He's been running that exit wide pretty much every lap, so I think he's really stressing that car, trying to carry too much speed through in the first place.
As Guillermo Taylor overtakes Ronaldo Tavares for 8th place, and that's very important because that is pole for race number 3.
Unlikely story.
You guys fill time because I am now just curious as to exactly how much track cutting happened in this race. Like
all of it.
I have to know.
I think everybody went for the Mexican route, which is across the grass all the time.
So 4 drivers get a cookie for not cutting the track.
Huzzah!
And
at this level, I think you should just pardon it.
Douglas DeGroot was our worst offender, had more illegal laps than legal laps. So, it's not the greatest display of how to obey track limits from the ESR crew here today. Oh God, Paul.
But it makes for some very interesting and entertaining races to watch.
Now, I feel like I have to mention, I think it's actually even worse than Race App claims, because Paul Riccobeni, per Race App, never cut the track. We just saw him very clearly cut the track.
Fake news.
So, interestingly enough, it may actually be worse than the Race App indicates.
I agree.
On one side, though, that does mean that if Raceroom is considering that to be a legal line for turn 1, it's not cutting the track. And that means it's kind of in a gray area that I don't know what to feel about it. I don't know. Because like if it in fact is not cutting the track, we're at the point where we're not doing anything illegal, but we are exploiting the hell out of a flaw in the game.
I'm totally fine with exploiting everything.
Who in real and sim racing hasn't exploited everything to squeeze every inch out of a track possible?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely possible.
Leandro. Well, yeah, but now I have a serious question. Where are all the drive-through penalties coming from? Because Dixon Hurst has got another one for abuse of track limits. What turn are they abusing if the track limits are as we theorize?
I think that they are abusing the limits of speed if they're going too fast.
Martin Edmonds again holding off Leandro Carroll, but that one was just more positional than anything. Martin had the inside line, which to be honest, I must mention to I see guys like moving around all the time when they're under pressure or whatever. Just take the racing line, like Martin just did right there, and it's pretty hard to overtake you with the racing line.
Positioning is everything when it comes to driving defensively.
As Martin
I prefer
to take
driving
the line this time around, which means the inside is open for Leandro Carroll if he wants to go for it, because apparently the white line doesn't mean anything, so just go for it. Sorry,
Well,
what?
Byron, to be fair, you live your life pretty offensively normally, so that's just par for the course.
It should be mentioned that this begs another question that has to be brought up. And I know the turn 1 was discussed in the Discord chat, but I kind of wonder how many drivers know that they can go 4 wheels off in that turn, keep a
All of them,
speed.
if you talked about it openly.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. We'd like to believe everyone looked at the Discord and reviewed the chat beforehand. I feel, I have found in my personal experience, that is seldom the case.
Oh, for sure.
So
Plausible deniability as the theme of today's race.
it does ask the question of who knows that they can be very liberal with that turn 1 and who doesn't.
Everyone. Clearly.
I think word might get out.
Might have.
They'll certainly know after this goes up.
Absolutely.
Listen, you could probably push that quite a ways.
Even that second turn is being really friendly to track cuts because they're going 4 off there with the curb and the green a couple of times, and in real life I would think that would be you'd be getting a warning. But again, as Leandro Carroll and Martin Edmonds, who we're watching right now, had no illegal laps, quote unquote, that suggests that that's also legal.
I would like to mandate that all things are legal at all times.
If I did really poorly in the Oschersleben races, I would just protest. This race doesn't count. Like, obvious exploits.
What do you mean doesn't count?
Although Leandro getting very wide there on that last turn, as is Max Simmons. So I'm honestly still trying to pick out what turn it is that we possibly are getting the drive-thrus from, because if it's not this turn, then that turn.
Could it be the last turn?
Not really, because cutting the track there isn't really an advantage. You're in a sand trap.
Could it be
That's fair,
any turn
but-
of events?
Like the old school race design, which Oschersleben largely follows for the most part. If you look at the original layout, is we don't care about track limits because the track limits is a sand trap, and that's kind of what the final turn is. So I don't see why that would be a drive-through, but you could be correct, Justin. Mike Stockmill has taken race number 2 from Paul Riccobeni. And rounding off the podium is going to be Martin Edmonds, who did you know what? I kind of crapped on it earlier about how him and Leandro Carroll were holding themselves up, but Max Simons never actually managed to take advantage of it. So congratulations to Martin on his hard-fought podium.
Indeed.
Wayne Medeiros coming across the line in a solid 6th place. I'm going to say Wayne Medeiros has been picking up some really good results in these, like, touring car style cars. It seems like they really fit his driving style.
I wish I knew what really fit my driving style.
Just race everything and figure out what you feel comfortable in. That
Not Group C.
probably, I don't think anyone feels comfortable in Group C.
That's probably true. Those things are freaking terrifying. Same with Group 5.
They definitely fit into that, like, lovely class of car that feels like it is trying to murder you.
I'm
yeah.
in favor of that.
Group 5 cars are absolutely terrifying, but some of the most fun things to drive in the entire sim. I wouldn't share the track with other people in that.
Looks like at some point we lost both Scott Greenfield and, or pardon me, not Scott Greenfield, because he quit at the beginning, but Guillermo Terrell at some point we lost. Wayne Medeiros, 92nd penalty after the race. Possibly for not serving a drive-through, maybe? Did he get a late drive-through? Not sure. But that has dropped him down the order significantly. But on the bright side, it's given him pole for race 2, because it dropped him down to 8th place. All right, gentlemen, who are our picks here for race number 3? We've seen Riccobeni win. We've seen Stockmill win. Who's got the third one?
That would be
All Brazilian front row?
Tobias Howard.
Tobias Howard, a bold Oh my, that's a hell of a start by Richard Higgs.
He's been accumulating points. He's letting everybody else break the rules, and everybody else eat shit with penalties.
Richard Higgs with a beautiful start there. Threaded the needle. Contact between Medeiros and Tavares, and carnage ensues. We'll see how it shakes out.
I'm thinking we're going to see Carroll.
Leandro Carroll is kind of my feel here. Up to second place already. Definite speed. Max Simons in the mix. I feel like Max Simons is kind of being driven by the car at times, though, which is going.
That seems to be the case. Yeah.
Which admittedly is a feature of the Audi. It is somewhat self-driving.
Might not take you where you want to go, but it will drive itself.
It is, of course, the four-wheel driver of the bunch.
So he favors the understeer.
Favors battling with the car. Leandro Carroll has taken the lead from Richard Higgs, and a drive-through penalty for abuse of track limits for Ronaldo Tavares, a new face to the drive-through club. I don't think he had one either prior to races. Might have. There's been so many that I feel like there can't be that many drivers who have not had a drive-through. Richard Higgs holding off both Martin Edmonds and Max Simmons, and Simmons and Edmonds get more physical, and that was the hip check that sent the Tic Tac car off the track. Looks like we've lost Guillermo Taylor, so that would suggest that his retirement in race 2 may have been of an internet problem, right?
So I just had a thought.
Go ahead.
If somebody's in Edmonds' slipstream, are they getting a tic-tac-toe?
I mean, that is obviously the case. I'm actually ashamed that I did not think of myself.
Just wanted to confirm.
Mike Stoffmill has gotten through into third place, so the Dutchman is flying. He's got Simmons on his tail, followed by a Paul Riccobeni up to fifth place, and then Martin Edmonds. So the fastest guys have kind of shuffled to the front, except for this blockade, this stopper, if you will, in the bottle. That is Richard Higgs, who is under pressure now from Mike Stoffmill, who makes the pass stick, and I think he did that legally, actually. So congratulations.
Mike, I'm flattered.
Wayne Medeiros putting the pressure on Mauricio Delgado. Wayne, this race has not gone according to plan, I think I can safely say for Wayne. He started on pole and is already back to 8th place.
No, I think you planned that.
It's all in the plan. 8th place is not valuable, though, now. There's no race 4. That's not pole for the next race.
Irrelevant. He's going for a deceit tactic, obviously.
Paul Riccobeni got into the butt of Max Simons there for a little bit and shook up the Audi. But Max has done a great job of fighting back, has retained the position. However, this straight up. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say Paul Riccobeni might have a shot, but his car just kind of died in the stream there once he got out of the tow, and Max Simons overtakes Richard Higgs with about the closest thing we've seen to a legal line for those two turns, if we're being honest.
Well, I think if it's not illegal, then you should be deported back to Mexico.
I'm not from Mexico, as Richard Higgs retakes the position.
Maybe he probably shouldn't be deported.
Paul Riccobeni versus Max Simons. Simons has got the inside line. He will, I think, retain the position eventually here through, once again, creative use of the curbing.
I just gotta wait for Simons to go off track again and make a nice clean pass.
Kind of. Max Simons looks incredibly unstable right now. The car is driving him, I think, at this point.
Absolutely.
Drive-through penalty, abuse of track limits for Ford Mustang driver Mauricio Delgado, who lost 7th place to Wayne Medeiros and now has a drive-through. So that's a bit of double whammy.
Yeah, that hurts.
You mean I cut the track so bad that I got a drive-through and I still didn't retain the position? This is harsh. As once again there was some creative use of turn 1 there.
I'm all about that creativity.
Oh, Paul Riccobeni!
Got
Got one in the butt. I'm not sure. I would have to assume he got hit there because there's not
What else are you gonna do?
There's not really any reason to lose control of the car and spin it like that.
Unless he just decided to eat the handbrake and try to drift around the turn.
Now, I'm not a racist, but when you're racing along and you haven't yet hit the brakes to go around a corner, I think maybe somebody else did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
That's really pretty much got to be the case on that one. Anyways,
And that person in particular, not to put too fine a point on it, might have been Martin Edmonds Jr., Sr. the 14th.
might have been Max Simons as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking
that's
it was
possible.
probably Simons.
But I'm definitely blaming Martin because reasons.
Riccobeni promoted to 7th there as Delgado goes in to serve his drive-through penalty. Tavares, I think, has also been in to serve his. So everybody is in their effective positions right now. Martin Edmonds on the tail of Max Simons, and I like Max. He's a good guy. He cheers for us incessantly on commentary, so don't take this the wrong way, but this is the last place I would want to be on the track right now. Battling with Max Simons is clearly not very in control outie.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you are ludicrously reckless.
You're very liberal on the curbs, and that car is in no way predictable. Oh, somebody off the track there. I think that was Tobias Howard, though, the lap down Mustang.
That Audi requires a supreme commander behind the wheel.
Indeed, and he's trying to go down the inside to be super defensive, which means, yep, he's gonna cut the track and retain 4th place ahead of Martin Edmonds. So Martin's back into another big battle. He had one with Leandro Carroll, now it's one with Max Simons.
Carroll, Stoffmeal, and Edmonds. I'm calling that for podium.
I don't know. Richard Higgs is not really... He doesn't really have podium picks, if we're being honest. The results in Race 1 and Race 2 have not really indicated that he really does. But as long as Simons and Edmonds are fighting like this really hard, I think Richard can probably hold them.
That's a fair point.
Stroke it gently.
The Simons only has to be enough of a distraction at this point to keep Edmonds from overtaking Higgs.
Absolutely. I'm feeling like Edmonds is probably driving in his mirrors right now.
To be fair, I would be too at this point.
Oh, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing.
Simons will not let Edmonds go. He is coming for that booty, regardless.
It's amazing that Max has the pace he does in this car with the struggles that he's clearly having with keeping it planted. Immense ability on display, frankly, as Paul Riccobeni is the other guy coming through the grid. This is also working out for Paul Riccobeni. Remember, he got spun out, we assumed, by Max Simons, although based on the camera view we had, we were unable to state that as fact.
Can't confirm.
But he is catching up to this battle for 4th place because they're struggling so much. And if he can get past Wayne Medeiros in relatively short order, that's that BMW back there in 6th place, I like his chances at still rescuing a pretty decent result out of this race.
Yeah, if Paul can pull out a top 5 out of this, I'd say that's pretty good salvage.
In fact, we ride on board with Paul Riccobeni. He looks to the inside, the real inside of turn 1.
You're gonna examine
Oh,
okay.
Hey, if it's legal, it's legal. But Raceroom, what the fuck? This is on the list of since we were racing at Hockenheim tonight, there's a similar problem at Hockenheim since they're into turn 1, which of course is a really fast right-hander, fourth gear in a GT3 car. You can go like to the wall on the far left side and not get a drive-through penalty. You'll get a track cut, so it's not quite as bad as this because apparently that's not a track cut.
Well, Stoffmeal has caught up with Carroll, so I think my predictions might be moot at this point.
The predictions are cars are still on. I mean, Edmonds. I'm starting to think your predictions have more and more validity too, because Edmonds, despite fighting with Simons, is actually closing in on Higgs at a rate of 3 to 4 tenths a lap. So
Indeed he is.
He's gonna have a shot at that podium.
I'm still saying that everybody's going to get torpedoed by Simmons, and then your boy Toby is going to win the whole thing.
I mean, it's hard to say with Toby being a lap down.
Doesn't matter. It's going to happen.
At least he's not 6 laps down.
I don't think Taylor actually started the race, in fairness. You'll recall he retired at the end of race number 2, and I'm kind of suggesting most likely he had an internet failure and just was never on the grid.
Can you confirm this?
There's no way to confirm it with what I have, because unfortunately if I go to the race app log, it's just going to say DNF.
Are you sure about that?
I will look. If
No,
you,
don't look. It's a joke.
You insist?
No!
I don't insist. Stop with this
I
tomfoolery
insist
at
that
once.
you do not.
Okay, yeah, Guillermo Taylor has the same lap count as Scott Greenfield on Race App and Douglas DeGroot, both of whom we know didn't start. So,
Fair enough.
if he did start, his day ended really quickly.
You know, crazier things have happened.
So Stopmill has got the pressure on. He's going to have 3 to 4 laps, probably 4 laps actually, to get this done because, of course, 3 minutes 12 remaining. This is only a 1 minute 2, 1 minute 5 lap. Mike Stopmill has taken lead. That's the straight line speed, but I think he's offline for turn 1, and I am correct. But he may have held it with a tight line through turn 2. In fact, he did. Although I am a little bit angry that the camera left that because I think that would have been the thing to see. Max Simons is overtaken
Pretty good.
Martin Edmonds, though. And Paul Riccobenni's right on the back of this battle now, so, I mean, what would it be for Riccobenni to take a podium here?
Well, I mean, we've seen in a previous race, your boy Simmons just pull a self T-bone for no particular reason. I believe right on that corner. And
True, Max Simons has been, for better or worse, the driver of the day.
very much in
He's
the public
certainly
eye.
been entertaining.
Riccobenni has gotten past Edmonds and is trying to go past Simons as well, but it's going to force him wide. I think Simons is going to hold that, but he did close the door on Martin Edmonds, so top 5 for Paul Riccobenni at the moment. The podium is right up ahead of him there, that white and yellow Mercedes driven by Richard Higgs.
Dun, 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 dun. Is Paul Riccobenni's car sponsored by a beer company?
Yes, it is.
That's what I figured. That nobody else makes a logo like that if it's not a European beer company.
I mean,
it was a
we're
German sponsor, so I just assumed it was beer.
We're talking early '90s German racing here. Like, there's 2 main sponsors that everyone's gonna have: alcohol and tobacco.
Yeah, Lord. Can we get a Rothman's car?
There have been Rothman's cars, most famously the Williamses of the '90s. So Leandro Carroll is behind Mike Stopmill, and of course, the problem with being behind a Mustang is you're dealing with that ridiculous straight line speed. And the question becomes, how do you find a way around that? Because you pretty much have to dominate a turn and then somehow get a better drive out of the turn than that Mustang is going to get. Time is running down, probably about 2 laps left. And it is still Richard Higgs holding on to that last podium. Martin Edmonds, I think, has kind of fallen out of this a little bit, actually, back there in 6th.
It's probably because he's drunk.
But a 3-car pileup is hardly impossible. And in fact, he is going after Riccobenni once again, and I think actually made a little bit of contact there.
I thought we were going to have a big-ass pileup.
I was kind of afraid of that, but Max Simons going down in... Actually, that's the outside. Max, that's the wrong line, my friend. Higgs backed out of that hard, though. Ooh.
3 wide through the first turn there, though.
Impressive, but I'm wondering what Higgs did there, because he backed out hard. Like, I think he could have held that 3rd place, and instead he's back in 6th.
Probably nerves.
Pablo Ricardo Bongo.
The moment appears to have gotten to him, that is for sure. Which is odd, because Richard Higgs normally has nerves of steel. This is a man who went side by side with me through the kink at Laguna Seca, which is not advisable for those at home.
That good old famous downhill chicane.
No, that's the corkscrew. The kink's the one right before it, the really fast left-hander.
Oh no.
Which actually is even worse.
Into the nearly blind braking zone?
Yeah, I went through the kink with him, and I just saw like the radar started going off as the car's drifting to my outside and looking like, Richard, what are you doing? Oh God, this is a terrible plan. He didn't overtake me, so not overtake of the year, but overtake attempt of the year.
Well, overtake of the year is what he was going for.
He ran out of track and was on the dust for a little bit.
I thought that was the fastest line. Am I wrong?
I mean, it is if you don't lose control of the car.
Challenge accepted.
Paul Riccobeni putting the pressure on Max Simons. I feel for Richard Higgs. I'm like I said, I'm a little confused as to why he backed out quite as hard as he did. By the way, at some point we lost Tobias Howard. I don't know. Apparently, approximately
because he
6 laps
lapped
ago.
everybody.
Paul Riccobeni up in the third.
So
No! Simons fighting
bomb.
back.
Sorry, obvious dive bomb.
Oh no! Riccobeni is backwards, and Max Simons on the podium. I will. Stylish, Paul. Stylish.
Shenanigans.
I like it. Very nice.
Paul Riccobeni, 6th place after all that work. I will give away. I've been talking with Stuart obviously today because he was doing the 3D speed stewarding report. That last turn is under review for a potential penalty.
I wouldn't really doubt it.
It was, I believe, it was reported by both drivers involved. So it's never really a great sign when a driver reports himself.
Opinions.
No, I believe it's a self-report from Max Simons actually. So the chances that won't result in a penalty are
slim to nothing.
Exceedingly minimal. Wayne Medeiros, another 90-second penalty. I wonder. I know there was a problem with that at Moscow as well, and I think it was Wayne as well getting like penalties that he was not getting. Did anyone see Wayne Medeiros get caught for like